What's up, music teachers? Today, I want to show you the 3-step inevitable success plan for six-figure music schools. And I just want to say this is a lesson that I got from my music production coach, Avery. And a lot of the lessons that I learned with this worked really well for my music production career, but I know really transfers over to music schools as well. And I just want to kind of give my take on it because I really like the lessons, and it really focuses on the foundations and sets us up for long-term success. And just like how music is a lifelong journey for us and for our students, building a music school is a lifelong journey as well, right? It's not like we build our business to a certain point and all of a sudden we made it, right? It's a lifelong journey because I'm hopefully, right, you're planning on teaching music for most of your life. And I kind of want to break down the system, what this plan looked like for me as a musician, but also what this looks like for you as a music school owner as well. Because the main problem that I went through, and that I know a lot of teachers and a lot of my clients have been through as well, was like going through Facebook and just seeing all these wildly different opinions and so many conflicting opinions on like, how do I get students to buy? What do I need to like say to get students to buy? What platform do I need to be on? I tried Facebook and it didn't work before. I just get a bunch of crickets. And usually when that happens, we start feeling discouraged. We start doubting our value as music teachers. So, when we're learning something new, of course, it's important to learn from someone. And a lot of my content really is just showing what's worked for me, what's worked for my teachers. But at the end of the day, you got to find out what works best for you, because my method is the thing that's worked for me, but it may not work for everyone, and that's okay. And the point is, and the thing that I teach my clients is not, here's my method, you should do it, but it is helping them figure out how do they find their own method, right? I'm walking them through the process on how I found what worked for me, so that in hopes that they can find what works for them as well. So for you, I want to be able to give you the 3-step inevitable success plan that if you follow this will work for everybody. Like that, it's so foundational, it's so fundamental that these are the things that everybody has to do, but I will also give you ways to personalize it and help you find your way of executing each step of the plan as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing I want to share is like, what did it actually look like for me as a musician? So just kind of like in a nutshell, the way that Avery, my coach, taught me was that one, you have to finish songs consistently. You have to, the second step was set up an accountability channel and release your content consistently, share it out. And then the third is networking consistently without any expectations of results. And I really love that because for one, finishing songs consistently, I'll kind of show you what that looked like here. I made a commitment to myself last year to finish and release a new song every single week. So I kind of use my SoundCloud and my YouTube to do that. But here's what my SoundCloud looked like. Over the last year, I've finished over 30 songs. And when I'm not doing the weekly song anymore, just because I've been through that for a long time. But for 28, 28 songs in a row, I finished that. And the amount of growth that I've seen in myself as a musician, as a producer, has been crazy. I've gone from barely being able to finish a track to being able to finish professional level tracks, getting my tracks recognized by other artists in less than a year. So this plan as a musician has given me great growth. I know that as this transfers over to music schools, this is the exact plan that has helped my clients be able to create six-figure music schools, has helped me be able to grow this coaching business as well. Because the step 2 here was set up an accountability channel. So I also use my YouTube. This is my personal YouTube channel, like my personal music channel. But you can see I've logged like all these hours in streaming, and I just stream my my studio sessions. So you can kind of see like the hours that I put in here, but also networking consistently as well. And this kind of goes more on like my personal experiences because not only have has my music been able to get more traction, I've grown an audience from that as well without really any like hard marketing there. um, People have noticed. I've put my stuff out there. People have noticed, and I've gotten producers reaching out to me on Instagram who like the same music, who make the same music, who really align with me as well, who have reached out, and now I'm like personal friends with them. We catch up, we share music together, and there's someone that those are people that like I can have in my inner circle as well. And that just shows me that when you consistently put things out there and that you don't even need to like try to market it out, people will find you. The right people will find you no matter what. And people are always watching. So I want to kind of translate this to what has this look like for me in the business side, and what does it look like for what can it look like for you as well with your music schools too. So the main thing here is focusing on the foundations. Remember, the way that this 3-step inevitable success plan will work for you is by detaching from the goals and focusing on the process. Just like in music, right? Like we can't expect us to be on the biggest stages like tomorrow. We have to follow the process. We have to build ourselves as musicians. Same thing as us as coaches, as teachers, as business owners. The main thing I want to help you do is find your path in the process. So what is the process? What is the 3 steps? I'll break it down to you real quick. It's growing your audience, nurturing your audience, and connecting with your audience. We'll go through each one of those with some detail, starting with growing your audience. And as we start to think about this plan, think about how this can apply on the different channels that you may be thinking of, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, email, YouTube, right? This all really applies to whatever path that you want to go into, whatever path that really feels right for you. So first off, growing your audience. And this problem that I see, the first problem I see with a lot of teachers, with most teachers, is that they don't even have an audience, right? So if we want to be able to reach more people past our local area and into different parts of the world, we have to create an audience. We have to create a brand, like a personal brand. There's no way around it, especially nowadays when there are so many teachers out there. Like how are you going to stand out, right? How are you going to get people to see you? So first off, it's about growing our audience, making sure that there's consistency in our growth. So the first step is like, if you are not creating content, we got to start creating content. But the problem that I see with teachers that are creating content though is that they stop after they don't get a lot of likes, after they don't get a lot of engagement. And first off, I totally get it, right? Like the social media channels have been built for us to crave this engagement, craving attention. But what we have to do, what we have to remain is we have to remain detached. We have to remain detached from the engagement and focus in on consistency. I know that for myself, with my content for this coaching business, with content for my own music, I've always gone about it a different way than what most people have gone through. And I don't post for likes. I don't post for people commenting and being like, "Hey Ben, your content's so great." I post just to post for myself, and I have this internal motivation to just put my content out there, and I treat my content creation as a creative outlet, just like music. And if you think about it for yourself as well, for yourself, what does your music mean to you? Is your music is it like truly a creative outlet just for yourself, or do you have some external motivation for it? Do you make music to grow a fan base? Do you make music so that other people can give you attention? Right, the teachers who want to play the long game, the music school owners who are in it for the long term, they don't post because they want a bunch of likes. They don't post because it's going to bring them a lot of students. At least for me, I post because I want to. I post because it gives me joy. It gives me fulfillment. I post my content because I want to have that experience where 5 years down the line, I can look back on my content and see what was my process back then, see my growth and be able to document it. So That's the first step in being able to grow your audience. It's making sure that when you are posting your content that you are doing so without any other motivation other than this internal motivation where I want to share my stuff out there. I want to be able to give. So for you, next steps on this, like, or actually maybe the first step on this, or your next step is really thinking like, how can I give to my audience? Right? The way that we grow our audience is not by like asking for followers, or it's not for it's not by like praying and hoping that people will find you, but it's asking like yourself, how can I give to my audience? Right? When you give to your audience, people will come to you. When you give, people have that reciprocity to want to give back to you as well. And you've probably seen this a lot from like other marketing resources and stuff like that. But creating a lead magnet is really important for growing our audience. That's like the tangible thing for growing our audience. For example, I have a lot of lead magnets, and my lead magnet is like my Six Figure Studio roadmap, right? I have my mini course that people can get. I have these YouTube videos that I can be able to use as lead magnets too. And I feel like a lot of my clients, they get really confused when they come in on what a lead magnet actually is. So I like to simplify it for them. And a lead magnet is really something in exchange that you can like something that you can give, something valuable that you can give to your audience in exchange for something else, whether that's an email, whether that's starting a conversation with them. It could be really anything. So your lead magnet does not have to be this fancy PDF, this fancy mini course that you have to spend months to create to finally get emails from. It could be a recording from a lesson that you gave to a student. It could be a resource that you already have in your kind of like your library of resources that you can just give out to your audience as well. The main question that I like to give to my clients that I want to give to you as well is, what is something that is already extremely valuable for my current students that I can just give for free to my audience? That way, you give something that you are proud to share. You give something that is actually helpful for students too, because the amount of lead magnets I've gone through that are not actionable, that are not even helpful, that are just a waste of time, it's crazy. You've probably been through that as well. And then also, it's something that you've already made. That's so easy to be able to share because you don't actually have to make it, right? So whatever lead magnet you create, that you want to promote it on whatever channel that you want to be on, that you want to grow your audience on anyway. So I will just say this right now: whoever is saying Facebook, Instagram, email, YouTube is a better platform, like they either haven't tried all of them, or what they're really saying is that platform has worked for them. And of course, if you are not that person, it may or may not work for you as well. For example, for me, my main channels are Facebook and YouTube. But the reason why I use that is because most of my audience is already on Facebook, but also I really enjoy YouTube as well. I just enjoy making content for YouTube. I enjoy consuming it. So the next question that I'll ask you is, what platform do you actually enjoy being on? Like, you don't have to be on Facebook if you don't want to. You don't have to create an email list if you don't want to. But the platform that you enjoy consuming content from is probably going to be the content that you enjoy creating and sharing content on as well, because you actually like being on that platform. So whatever platform you choose, make sure that you are sticking with that consistently. You're growing and you are focusing your attention to that audience. But the first thing, again, like growing your audience, making sure, are you getting your lead magnet out there? Are you growing your audience consistently? That's the main thing. Are numbers going up for that? That's the first thing, growing your audience. I'm not really attached to like, I have to grow it a certain amount of people, because again, we can't control that. And I like to focus on things that we can really control. So choose a platform. Make sure that you have something that you're giving to your audience so that that platform grows, that audience base grows. People want to follow you for the long term. So the next part here is nurturing your audience. So kind of going back to what I had said with the music part, create an accountability outlet for you, which is kind of what we talked about before, but sharing content consistently. So you can have your lead magnet out there, But if we are not nurturing our audience, if we're not nurturing our leads that are following us from that lead magnet, then they're gonna find someone else to be able to follow. Um, and For this one, this really comes from like I feel like the biggest struggle that a lot of teachers go through is that they know consistency is important, but it's really hard to stay consistent, especially when we are juggling with our personal life, especially when we have families we have to take care of. We have our students that we have to teach as well, right? And I know for me, it was really hard to keep content creation consistent when I was a music ed student. I had like 10, 15 hours of teaching every week. I had my full-time classes. I had rehearsals. I had to practice. I had my social life as well. That was really important. I had all of that. What it really led me to a life of burnout. And it led me to really thinking like, why am I doing this? This is so tiring. Is this even fulfilling me anymore? But what's really important is that it's kind of like practicing when our students get really busy as well. You want to think like, how do you help your students consistently practice even though they are really busy as well? So the first thing may come from, why are you posting? Connecting back to why are you posting? And a lot of times we lose that motivation when we don't get the likes there. But again, connect yourself. Why am I posting? I'm posting for myself. I'm posting so that I can share my knowledge and my expertise with my students, with the world. Connecting to why you're doing that is going to give you the motivation. But then actually finding the time to create the content now. How do you find the time to practice for yourself? Right? What's your best way of doing that? How do you help your students be able to do that? I know that for me, the consistent content is so important because every single time a teacher has booked a call with me and I ask them, hey, what was it about the email? What was it about the content that got you to want to book in the call? I get like the same response. And it's always something similar to like, I've been seeing your content for a while and I keep seeing your emails. I don't exactly remember what it was about, but I thought it was the right time to talk to you. And that's really important right there. And I really like that because it's not about, of course, the quality of your content is really important. And it's the consistency of the quality of the content that is really the key there. But what we have to remember is that we can't control when people are going to buy. We can't control when people are going to come up to you and want to talk to you. But what we can control is that when they feel like the time is right, are they going to think about us? Are we going to be top of mind for them? And that's why the consistency is so important. Consistently putting ourselves out in front of the right people so that when they feel like it is time to buy, we are the first person that they think of. That is the most important. That is really the key of right there with nurturing your audience. So making sure that you're consistently putting out your content out there is important. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to tell you how many times you have to post. And if someone is telling you how many times you have to post, again, it's probably what's worked for them. But is it going to work for you? That's the question. So for you, what I want you to do is create your own weekly standard. That's what I have done for myself. And that's what I tell my clients. And it's inevitable. It's going to lead to inevitable success because when you create your own weekly standard, like, you're going to stick with it rather than, oh, I have to post 3 times a week because Ben told me to. Like for me, I post, I change it up all the time. I change up my weekly standard all the time because my life gets busy sometimes, right? Sometimes I don't have the time to create new content. So I might recycle old pieces of content. So that's really how I nurture my audience. And that's how you can find your way of nurturing your audience as well. Don't focus on, oh man, so-and-so said I have to post this amount of time, so I have to do that. Find what works for you. So I'll give you a bit of strategies, some things that have worked for me that you can be able to try out and see if they work for you as well. For one, I like every piece of new content I create, and what's helped me create content consistently is being able to recycle and reuse content and repurpose content. So rather than creating a new piece of content once and then it dies and I never use it again, I might be able to recycle that and use that a few months later. I might be able to take a look at that and maybe revise some of my messaging and be able to use that months from now as well. For example, on my email, if you're a part of my email list, by the way, you get daily value from me, and a lot of the content that I put out there is not just new content, but it's recycled content as well. And what's really important about that is that each piece of content that I create is not just it's not just like a one and done type of content, but it's something that we have to continually remind ourselves with. And it's kind of like for us and our students, we're not going to teach a lesson and all of a sudden we never teach it again, right? It's usually we have to reteach it again in the future when we have to remember to go back to those foundations. So for you and your content, don't just let your content go out there and die. Be able to house it, be able to reuse it, be able to improve it later on, and keep that consistency so that you don't have to create new content every single week, but that you can repurpose content for other things. You can repurpose content later on so that you keep your consistency strong. For me, it's like it's really hard not to be consistent anymore because I have so much content that I've created as well. But in the beginning, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time like creating new content. So figure out your way. That's my way on nurturing your audience. So the last thing here is connecting with your audience. Keyword here, free of expectations. That's the important part, right? So I'll share with you a quote that I got from my coach, and my coach Dan Bolton, by the way, shout out. He says a lot, like especially when I feel like, man, I feel like I'm not getting enough leads, or I feel like I'm not getting enough sales. What do I need to fix? He often says, hey, Ben, you don't have a lead generation problem, but you might have a lead nurture problem. And a lot of times us as music teachers and music schools, we get someone signing up for a trial lesson. It seems like it's going well, but then they don't buy. And all of a sudden they go off in their own life, and maybe they find another teacher. Maybe they don't take music lessons because of that. But the problem here is that with a lot of teachers, we have a problem where our leads come in and they either buy or they either die, right? How many times have you had someone come in for a trial or come in inquiring, but they don't end up buying, and you never hear from them again? Right. So the solution here is, how can you build long-term personal relationships with your audience? And this is the key too, because when we expect people to just like see us for a few hours, just see our website, and all of a sudden expect us to be like the one for them, like that is going to be really, really hard, especially when they're looking on other people's websites. They're seeing other teachers' content as well. How we build that long-term personal relationship with them is actually connecting with them, talking with them, reaching out to them, and being that proactive leader that's going to help them get them from where they are to their goals. So what does that mean? It's actually starting conversations with them. Are you consistently starting conversations with new people? I know for me, one really simple strategy that I implement is I reach out to every single new Facebook friend that I get. And just saying hello, just saying hi, without any expectation of anything in return. I'm not asking them to buy anything, but I'm just saying hello. I want to be able to extend my hand and reach out and just give them a handshake. And that's what you can do as well. Just starting off, are you even reaching out to new followers? Are you reaching out to new friends on Facebook? Starting those conversations. But the next step with that as well is actually going into conversations with this mentality of service, of giving, of sharing content. Because when my clients start this process, they're often asking me, okay, Ben, started these conversations, but how do we actually move the needle along, right? Because we actually need to move them along towards like being a student, right? How do we actually do that without sounding salesy, without sounding pushy, without sounding like we are pressuring them into buying? And the way that I really like to go into it is by going into conversations with the intention of sharing content. That's the key right there. That's how I can like get into conversations and not have to feel icky, not have to feel like I'm pressuring them. And for them, not have like for my audience, that's how they are able to build long-term relationships with me. Because if I gone into every conversation like, hey, do you want to join my program or something like that? Like what kind of relationship is that going to create if I start off the relationship just like that? And same thing with you and just your personal relationships, right? If you're constantly, if someone's constantly asking you for something, for a favor, like how are you going to feel about them? Rather than if someone's constantly coming up to you and being able to share awesome things that are valuable for you, they're sharing things that they feel excited about. What kind of relationship would that start instead? So the actionable step that I want you to have right now is think about, how am I connecting with my audience? How can I start reaching out to them and sharing content with my audience as well? Because when you post stuff out there, not everybody is going to see it. And of course, there's probably some people in your mind that hey, this piece of content I just created is really going to be helpful for that particular student. So create your audience, nurture them, but also connect with them. And in this audience, right, who is going to be in this audience? Well, it's going to be people that you don't know, the cold people, but also your current students. Are you reaching out to your past students? Are you reaching out to other colleagues, other musicians? Are you reaching out to past inquiries, people that haven't bought? Are you continuing the relationship with them as well? Are you continuing to give them value? That is what we have to ask ourselves. So to kind of recap it again, the 3-step inevitable success plan. Again, this has the reason why I say this is inevitable, because if you follow these steps, there is no reason why people wouldn't find you and find your valuable content and want to work with you. And again, this works for every single platform, whether you are on Facebook, Instagram, email, or YouTube. But as long as you are growing your audience, as long as you are nurturing your audience, making sure that they continually think of you top of mind, and also connecting with them, actually creating long-term personal relationships with those humans, with those people. They're not just followers, they're not just numbers on a platform, but they're actual people that are gonna be your students in the future. We need to make sure that we're following that. So if you can follow that and keep that consistent, keep that top of mind for you every single day, it's inevitable that you will create a 6-figure music school. So I know this has kind of been it's almost this is like a crash course type of style. But if you want kind of my full guide, I have another video as well, full 10K per month guide for 6-figure music schools. It's got the exact detailed steps on what I teach with my clients as well. It goes more in depth on not just this plan, but also creating hybrid models and being able to scale up without burning out, without teaching 40 hours a week. I have that in the description. Feel free to check that out as well. But let me know if you have any questions from this. I'd love to answer it, making sure it's helpful for you.